This was going to be the best trick Avery had pulled in a long while. The delight nearly fumed out of them like smoke from a burning forest. They smiled as they floated around the room and let their imagination go buck wild. At the moment, they floated in Oliver's chamber. But the mini-troll was more than happy to help Avery pull off their cunning plan. And oh, it was so cunning. Avery waved their arms about, and the details of the room became masked in a vast blanket of illusionary magic. The floors, walls, and ceilings took on the appearance of a large room with light gray metal plates screwed into every possible surface. The light coloring made the room appear much larger than it really was, which was way more appealing than the dark contours that Oliver had chosen for his chamber. Torches lined the walls, and the light reflected off of the metal plates. A series of red lines formed an intricate spell circle in the middle of the floor. To someone with magical knowledge and training, it resembled a trapping circle of some kind. Avery floated in the middle of the circle, sat cross-legged on the floor, and then waited. They giggled into their hands. According to the daily map on the bulletin boards, this chamber would be one of the first rooms the murder hobos would travel into. If they played their cards right, Avery would have a long time to play with the silly little fools. It wasn't long before they heard the footsteps approach. Avery took a deep breath and then pretended to cry into their hands. Moments later, she heard the telltale dialogue from murder hobos.
Look! Over there!
Slowly, Avery lifted their head and gazed at the four adventurers as they approached. There were 3 women and 1 man among them. The man was a mage, although he looked super ripped and fit for someone who was supposed to practice the arcane arts. He had long dark hair, a goofy smile on his face, and he was the second tallest of the group. The mage carried a little wand in his hand. The tallest of the group was a woman with short red hair, some form-fitting steel armor, and a long 2-handed sword in her hands. She looked stern, as if she were hewn from the side of a rock face. Another woman in the group had blonde hair, and she wore white and green robes. She carried a 2-handed warhammer in her elegant, noble-like fingers. The last was a short and skinny woman with spiky brown hair, barely no armor to speak of, and a crap ton of daggers hanging from her belt.
What is it?
The mage smiled.
I think it's an honest-to-goodness pixie. I've read a ton of lore about them.
The warrior moved around the room, scanning everything with her eyes.
There doesn't appear to be anything else in here.
Avery whimpered.
Who are you? Are you going to hurt me?
The blonde woman knelt down and smiled warmly at them. It was the kind of smile really good people often beamed at those around them. Oftentimes, it was strange to see murder hobos give that sort of expression, since their bread and butter depended on breaking and entering.
Oh, no, little one. We're not going to hurt you. We're adventurers, and maybe we can save you.
Save me?
Avery whimpered again. The littlest female arched an eyebrow at the mage.
What do you think, Louis? Can you free her?
Louis, the mage, chuckled and then held up his wand.
I can sure try.
The mage started chanting some sort of magical incantation, and Avery had to fight every fiber in their being not to burst out laughing. They watched closely, and when the wand glowed, they willed the magical circle to fade.
Oh yeah, who's the best mage ever?
Avery flew up into the air and soared around them.
Thank you so much. You freed me. I've been stuck in that trap for so long.
The warrior narrowed her eyes.
Oh yeah? How long has that been? And why were you trapped?
Avery smiled down at the warrior. While the other members of the Murder Hobo Brigade were delightful, this one was something else. Her eyes sparkled with critical clarity. This one would be fun to break. A sudden idea came to mind, and for a moment, they considered against it.
Well, I don't really know how much time has passed per se. There are no windows in here, so time felt so warbled. All I know is that it was the first day of winter when I was captured by the boss of this place.
The first day of winter? But it's the third week in autumn. Do you mean to say that you've been trapped for nearly a year?
A year?
Avery started to cry a little, and the tears, which were illusionary, cascaded off of their face.
No, this can't be right. My family. I was supposed to be the person of honor at my sister's wedding.
They held their sides, and they slowly dropped to the ground.
And I had a pet, too. Dreamer, oh, my sweet little boy.
Louis bent down and gave Avery a small smile.
Hey, it's okay. You're free now. So, what did the boss want with you?
Avery sniffled.
As a pixie, I have the ability to create magical dust from my body. It can be used in various kinds of powerful spells and such.
That was a lie. Pixie dust wasn't a real thing.
Oh yeah. I've heard that about pixies before.
The urge to laugh nearly overtook them.
The boss is so mean. She comes every 3 or 4 days and makes me produce the dust.
Something like that would probably fetch a hefty price.
Avery simply beamed an embarrassed, bashful look at her.
You want to harvest my dust?
They placed a hand over their crotch.
How indecent.
The blonde giggled anxiously and then waved a hand in front of her.
No, little pixie. We're not going to harvest anything. We're getting off on the wrong foot. Let's introduce ourselves. My name is Melina, and I'm a priestess of the goddess Cyrus.
She gestured to the mage.
This is Louis, our wizard extraordinaire.
The littlest woman rolled her eyes.
Yeah, careful about that one. He's a dirty pervert and a womanizer.
Louis's face turned a bright crimson.
Screw you, Marina. I am not.
You totally are, Louis.
Yep.
Louis simply lowered his head in shame.
Way to call me out, you guys.
The littlest woman waved at Avery.
Well, I'm Marina. I'm only here for the loot.
And I'm Gina.
The warrior said. The pixie floated up again, so she was eye level with Melina.
Hi, I'm Avery. It's really nice to meet you. And I really appreciate you helping me. How can I ever repay you?
Well, for starters, maybe you can tell us about this boss. They must be quite powerful if they can catch a mythical creature like you.
Once more, an understated caution flickered on her lips. Avery rubbed the back of their head.
Well, yeah. The boss is a powerful archmage, but I got caught because I was being stupid. I'm kind of embarrassed to admit this, but I got caught because of my sweet tooth.
Your sweet tooth? If you like sweet things, I have an excellent recipe.
Marina jumped up and slapped Louis in the back of the head.
Not now, you horn dog.
Melina crossed her arms over her chest and stepped in front of the mage.
As you were saying?
Well, the boss set out a magical trap for me and my friends. She had set out a picnic blanket with all sorts of tasty treats and goodies. Pies, cakes, and candy fruits. Oh, and hot chocolate. I was with several of my best friends at the time. They were wary of the spread, but it was my idea to dive right in. They wouldn't have normally taken such a risk, but I was always the boldest of the group.
What happened?
Avery averted their eyes.
When we started eating the snacks, the blanket folded up and wrapped us up in a bundle. We were all trapped, and then we heard her voice. She said she would drain us of all our dust and use it to open a portal to some such thing. I don't remember what the term was. It was something in an ancient and gross speech.
Gross speech. What does that mean?
When I heard it,
Avery swallowed hard.
my body convulsed, and I nearly threw up all the snacks that I had eaten.
Oh, so gross, as in literally gross.
Yeah.
What happened to your friends? The ones who were captured along with you?
A violent shiver reverberated through Avery's core. Their little hand pointed to various spots in the room.
There used to be 5 magic circles in the room.
One by one, each of the murder hobos' faces morphed.
I'm so sorry to hear that. We all are.
Avery licked their lips. They steeled their spirit, and they reached deep down inside themselves.
I hate this boss. She took everything from me. I have a request.
Yes?
Can you please take me with you? I want to help you navigate through this hellscape I've been trapped in, and then confront the horde mage who butchered my friends. Please?
They held their hands together in front of them, and then floated in front of each of the adventurers' faces.
I have no issue with it. Well, we're not giving her a cut of the loot.
That's okay. I don't care about things like that.
If you two are cool with it, I suppose I am too.
Suddenly, the mage took hold of one of Avery's hands. A sudden, uneasy feeling whirled within them. They backed up a little and beheld Lewis strangely.
I promise. I'll protect you, fair mate.
Melina punched him in the back of the head.
Down, boy.
Avery took their hand back, and she laughed uneasily.
Thanks.
We ladies have to stick together.
Avery rubbed the back of their head again, but then decided now wouldn't be the best time to have the conversation about their gender.
I promise you won't regret this.
I bet we'll become great friends. And don't worry about Lewis. He's an absolute trifle to deal with if you're a woman. But he's still a good guy, deep down.
Yeah, he tries way too hard.
Marina moved toward the entrance of the room and then started down the hallway.
Come on. I can't wait to see what we find next.
Gina went next, followed by Lewis, and lastly, Melina. Avery floated right beside Melina. As they left the room, Avery gave it one last look. A pang of sadness flourished within them. They thought,
Candy? Lucy? Dominic? Aubrey? Cassie?
They sighed one last time, and then followed the murder hobos. Enough sadness for now. The prank had just begun, and Avery planned to have some real fun. Real fun was the only medicine to forget what happened.